another police recruiter. So every 4 years, going into a used police vehicle. That particular document has the total cost of factoring in a maintenance, the total cost of a new vehicle at $50,000 and a used police car after a 10-year period of $40,500. What was not factored into the used police car is those are all black and white, so every year you're going to have to, every time you redo one, you're going to have to prep that for fire department use. And every time you change the vehicle, you're going to have all the equipment reinstalled, potentially new equipment if it doesn't fit in the new vehicle, similar to what the police department does. So if you add that cost into that vehicle, that's going to bring it up to around $48,000.
Dave, can I just interrupt there
Yeah.
real quick? So to back that up to the paint cost, Doug did figure that in, because if you look at the first number, it's $6,500, there's $2,000 for the paint, and he carried that number all the way through, assuming that the buyout would be $5,000 for the cruiser in the second and third time, and then an extra $2,000.
Oh, okay. I thought he was just going up on the cost of what it is. Okay, so
he
the paint,
figured in the paint.
okay, so paint's factored in there, so you got the re-up cost. So you're gonna, the number's a little bit, you could add in a few thousand for re-equipping, reinstalling equipment. If we decided to, as the town has done in the past, we don't typically lease vehicles, we don't typically do payments type of thing. That was more to spread it out over multiple budgets. You're going to be paying $2,700 in interest. So if you back that out and just purchased like you are the police car, again, that would bring that cost down by $2,700 over a 10-year, over that life expectancy of the vehicle. So the two numbers get fairly close over a 10-year period. So I guess I should back up a little bit in that, whether the question is, do we move forward with attempting to get a chief's command vehicle for the fire department? I guess are the questions coming from, should we even have the vehicle, to the question of, should it be a new vehicle, to the question of, should it be a used vehicle, or does the chief continue to assume all liability costs and run his own vehicle at a higher vehicle allowance? So I guess I'd throw it to the council and just, ask the question of what should I be, out of those 4 items, what is it that I should be addressing or spending the time that we have, so we're not here all night discussing it, and address the concerns individually that you may have. Is that, agree that's a good way to do this?
I'll help you with it. Yeah. So the third part of that statement you made is that should the chief use, and I'll sit here and tell you personally, I don't believe you should be using your own vehicle for any municipal use, period. As we know what happened to the fire chief in Sydney, lost a lot of money, he lost his vehicle, it went on and on and on. I don't believe that's fair to you or fair to the town taxpayers for them to expect you to use your personal vehicle for their use. So now we're down to 2 options. So now I guess we'll have to sit and think through this. I got a quick question for the paint. Are you thinking paint as in painting the whole vehicle? Because right now the doors are
Correct.
white. And you want to paint it all black, or do you want to paint it fire engine red?
No, because of the cost involved, I was just painting the doors and the roof to get it all black. Because to paint the entire vehicle
would be about $1,500. I checked on that today.
Well,
Full paint.
From who?
From a gentleman in town. So
Okay.
he would
The
paint,
estimate
does body shop work.
Okay, the estimate I have is from Conrad's is $2,000.
Yep.
I didn't go to 5 different people to get an estimate.
No, that's fine.
But I went to Conrad's, the estimate numbers that I'm using is $2,000. And that was the cheapest option, and that was to paint the doors and roof.
Okay. But this is full paint red, fire engine red, $1,500. So that's what, again, just throwing things out so we can talk through this.
Yep.
Don Bowman, questions?
No, I guess my thought process is that when we purchase a vehicle or anything for the town, we usually spend a little bit of time deciding what we want to do, how much we want to spend. It's not a right in the middle of the budget process. I thought we had something that was going to be a good solution right now that would at least get us past the liability issues and all those things. And then if we need something, it doesn't quite do what we want it to do, we have, time to come up with what we really want to have. I just think it's not the time to be changing from what we all thought was going to be an acceptable product to a capital purchase that we don't do in anything else. We always, we have long-range plans, we have 4-year plans, and we're not doing that here. I think the solution that we put in the budget was a good first step to solve some of our issues. And I think we need a lot more deliberation to talk about what should this vehicle be? Should it be a truck? Should it be a car? Should it be, and you've done a lot of research into this, but we haven't thrown it through our budget processing. The budgets were submitted back in January, end of January. Yeah. So we're working with what was submitted. And I think this is the type of thing that should have been discussed, thrown back and forth, December, January, before we get it, rather than at this time. So I'm not against anything right now, but I don't know if we've had enough time to deliberate in the process that we've always done. And I really don't feel comfortable changing what we've done in the past to do this. I think what we have is a viable solution. May not be the best one, might be something we have to change, but I'd like to have time to really think that through.
Mr. Buzzell?
Up to a point, I kind of agree with that, but I think the whole thing was, it was brought forward about getting into the vehicle, and then the question was brought forward, is that the right option? Or should we do something totally different? So that's what we've gone to. Now we've got the two options. Yeah, we are partway into or towards the end of the budget season, or whatever you want to call it. But I agree, anything could have been in that budget that we could have gotten a question on, that we could have changed. We still have the time to change it. That's my only 2 cents on it.
We're gonna have to vote on this one, is it next Monday, our next budget meeting?
Next Tuesday.
Tuesday? Okay.
Well, I mean, we discussed in the budget negotiations about providing the chief with a town-owned or leased or supplied vehicle as opposed to using his own vehicle. I agree with Mike that he should have a town-issued vehicle. I don't frankly care whether it's the old cruiser or a new car. The only thing I care about is when you get down the bottom right-hand corner, which one costs more? I mean, is it enough difference? If the used vehicles are going to cost enough less so that it really amounts to something over 10 years, then I say use the used vehicle. If at the end of 10 years it costs $1,500 more to have a new vehicle, then divided by 10, that's 150. It's chump change, really, if it's a benefit. So I think we can figure it out once we know the number, and we can know that next week.
And I didn't, and just to go back to address Dawn, I was asked to find this information out. So, it wasn't like, I wasn't trying to come up with a battle, so, as the discussion progressed, it's like, if you're going to do it, do we go ahead and do it right day one and get what I guess the fire department would perceive to be the best option or the best vehicle, because we were looking at a used police cruiser, and it's basically a fill gap, or like I think Gary used the terminology trial basis, and I think it's been proven in other fire departments, I've talked to other chiefs, you know, this is something that is very common in the state, even in departments our size. And, you know, so it just became, if we're looking at it over a 10-year period, the two options are gonna shake out fairly close to the same. And you're not gonna have the, you know, you're not gonna have the inconvenience of every 4 years swapping a vehicle. You're gonna, day one, you're gonna have a vehicle that you know is reliable. It's got 3 years of bumper-to-bumper warranty. You know, it's sized properly for the mission in which it's gonna fulfill. And, you know, whether we're coming in late in the budget process, you know, I know, you know, I've been involved in this budget process for many, many years, and there are changes made throughout the budget process. Stuff's added, stuff's taken away. I don't really think that's something, you know, brand new to this particular budget cycle. Because it's a capital piece, you know, I guess that's up to the council where they place it in the budget, whether they put it in the operation budget and make payments, or buy it and make it a capital piece. But, you know, it's something that definitely is needed. What the council decides to do as far as what it should be for a vehicle, you know, I think that's gonna be up to you folks.
Dave, I got a couple of questions I'd like to know the answer for next week at our budget meeting before we vote. Is exactly what it's gonna cost to paint the 4 doors on that vehicle and make it all black, and how much it costs to get your lights in with that you need.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't be opposed to, if that, depending on what that figure is, doing this for 1 year, then putting this new vehicle into the budget ahead of time, like Don suggested, and plan on it, if there isn't too much difference in cost. And I can't see that we're talking a lot of money, but if you can have that figure for us next Tuesday, you said?
Well, I can tell you
police
that-
vehicles, you know, you look at those 3 guys in the corner there, and they're pretty rough on police vehicles. They're not the best used cars to buy.
Yeah, that's why they don't have much trade-in value. So number one, the cost of painting. Like I said, I went to one shop, and it was Conrad's. It's the big shop. It's the one everybody talks about. I just went up. We brought the car up. They quickly gave an appraisal, gave me a price. It's written down. I have it. Councilman Perkins can share with me his body shop. He says he's got a quote for $1,500. I can't. I don't know. I don't have that. But if that's the cost, that, you know, if we can get it done, it can go out to bid. It can go out to, you know. But for the budget process, I did not go to 3 or 4 shops. I didn't drive all around town to everybody that paints cars to get a price. What it's going to cost to buy what's needed for emergency lights, consoles to hold the lights, radios, things that, because all that stuff gets pulled out of the police car. They're taking it, and whatever they can fit in the new one, they put in the new one, and whatever they can't, they have to purchase. So to buy all that and to have it installed is $3,200.
Okay.
So you take all that, you spend $3,200, you spend $1,500 to paint it, you spend $4,500 to buy it for 1 year, doesn't really add up, because there's no guarantee that stuff you just bought for $3,200 is going to fit in the next car. It's model specific. A lot of it's model specific. Some of it can be used, but not necessarily all of it. So that's where, you know, do we do it once and it's a 10-year thing? Do we do, you know, a year trial? Do we do a 4-year trial? You know.
I guess, in my mind, we'd be wasting $3,200, because whatever we spend to paint the doors on that is gonna make it that much more valuable to whoever, when we trade it in next year, because they're gonna have to paint the doors when they sell it. Not many people would buy one with white doors, so, that's all I need to know, I think, for budget meeting.
Well, I gave you the answers, so you have them now, I
I think
believe.
I'm all set.
the National Automobile Dealers Association that comes up with a figure every year that it costs you to maintain vehicles per mile after every mile. So by the time you get that vehicle for 85,000 miles, next year we ought to figure that in too, because that's a figure that we should know in the average cost per mile to maintain that vehicle, even though we do a lot of our maintenance. So there's another figure that's not here that we should be looking at. And to say,
Maintenance, maintenance number is just a number that Doug plugged in for the comparison.
what I'm saying is actual numbers out there is the NADA that actually puts miles down, so, you know.
But maybe not on a used police cruiser. 'Cause maintenance-
Exactly. That's
Maintenance
what I'm
could
going with.
potentially be higher based on, you know, the usage, I don't know. You know, and, you know, I think there's some options there, I think we presented a lot of information. And, you know, be happy to answer any other questions, you know, this is, you know, they're not, this is the third meeting that we've talked about this, and, you know, we're gonna come back and talk about it in an additional meeting. I don't know what more I can share with you, but I'd be happy to do that.
I should make a comment on the police vehicle side of it too. I know in Waterville, I know they've experienced it here in Oakland with police vehicles being pretty much new off the lot with 15 to 20 to 25,000 miles. They lose transmissions, differentials, front differentials, and engines actually. And the cost to replace that for a police department during the 3-year warranty is $0. With this proposal here, by getting the cruiser after it's being used and past that warranty, the risk of that happening is very high. It happened at 15,000 miles. It could very well happen at 100,000 miles. And now you're looking at putting a transmission, a differential, or an engine into a vehicle. What's that going to cost to be installed? So something to consider, the risk that you're taking by getting a used vehicle. You know, a transmission could be $3,500 plus install. You could be $6,000, $7,000. Just to throw that out there too, when you're getting the used past the warranty,